Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Can you hear us and see us? Let us know if you can hear us. There we go. We got a 10-4 and a yup. Awesome. Well, everybody, like Jason was kind of just saying at the end of our session right there, we're super excited for this presentation, this session. This is Steven with Gold Heat, and he is the head engineer. So he knows all the ins and outs of what makes the radiant floor heat work and why it works and why it's better than so many other types of heat. And so, yeah, with that, like we've kind of said in the past, when we were building tiny homes back in the day, we used to try to find some of the random electric floor heating, and there always seemed to be an issue with it. We would just find, one of the ones on Amazon, we'd buy it, we'd stick it in, we'd put all the extra time and effort into trying to make it work well. And then by the time we got the flooring on and we went to turn it on, it would never work. Happened to us probably like 4 or 5 times, and we got so frustrated. We were just like, "Hey, we're not doing electric floor heat inside of a tiny house anymore on the floor because we couldn't get it to work." And then came along Gold Heat, and we realized that these guys are the real deal. They're focused on actually doing floor heat, electric radiant floor heat inside of mobile homes and not like homes that are on wheels, or actually they specialize mostly in motor coaches, which are like the $200,000 to $500,000 just amazing motor coaches that are just top notch luxury. Basically, any of those motor coaches, you're going to find Gold Heat inside there. So when we came across Gold Heat, we realized that that's kind of the real deal and what we were trying to use before, and why we got frustrated, because it just doesn't work if you're not intentionally specific for that type of installation and product. So that's why we love Gold Heat. We stand by their product, and they do some amazing stuff. But what we're excited about today is that Steven's going to give us kind of the ins and outs of what makes it work and why it works well. So, and go over some of the myths and the ugliness of what people think about electric radiant floor heat. But with that, Steven, I'll let you have it. And awesome, man. Looking forward to hearing it.
Alrighty. Thanks, Zach.
Absolutely.
Well, hey guys. My name is Steven James. I am the engineering manager here at Gold Heat. And if you're unfamiliar with Gold Heat, we are a company. We're based out of Portland, Oregon, just outside. And for 20 years, we have been creating electric radiant floor heat mats for the RV industry. That's where we got our start, right? So, like Zach mentioned, it's the luxury high end of the as high as you want to go, 200,000 to as high as you want to go motorhomes. And that's kind of why we think that we can make a big presence in tiny homes here. And we love radiant floor heat, right? And so that's what I'm here to talk to you about. First, I'll talk about the product, and then I'll move into the myths and kind of disproving that, and then I'll answer some questions from you guys, because I know that's why you guys are all here. So we make two products here. We make Gold Heat, which is a wire mesh style for undertow. That's not applicable to tiny home, we don't think. Whereas our black gold product, right, which is a thin film material, right, it comes in widths of 20 inches or 10 inches, right, and then you can get it as long as you want, up to about 30 feet. We assemble it here, and it has pre-terminated ends, right. It's super thin. It is only about a 1/16 of an inch thick, so it goes right underneath your vinyl, your LVT, your floating floor, whatever, right? So that you can't even feel the material when you're sitting on it at all. You just feel the warmth, right? And that's really what our big thing is that for tiny home, right, you're not trying to add a huge stack height to anything. You're just trying to feel the warmth and heat your house evenly. And so that's why we think that this product could be perfect for you guys. And so here, I'm going to share my screen to talk about exactly kind of how our product works. Let me see if I can get this to work. Entire screen. Share. Hopefully that didn't do a crazy window. Yeah, so there's a title for our thing. So we understand that the current most common methods for heating a tiny house right now are, mini split and propane and wood burning stoves. And while those do work, they really do leave some room. There's some things to be desired there, where there's a really, really hot spot right up against that heating source, and then there's a really, really cold spot on the farthest point away from that. And it really relies on convection of the actual unit itself to blow the air across. And like I said, there's dead spots there. And where radiant floor heat, how it works is that it's heating the entire ground, right? So it contours around, all of your built-ins, all of your furniture, your toilet, that type of stuff, and it really heats it evenly, edge to edge, so that it really creates no dead spot in your house, and it heats from the ground up so that there's a very even column. Whereas if you can see here on the left, right above the mini split where it's actually blowing the air, there's a really, really, really hot spot right up in the top and around the unit, but then on the opposite side it's really cold. And for electric radiant floor heat over here, as you can see, it's even all the way across. And so that's really where we think that we can help in the tiny home industry. And like I said, our product here, the black gold, the film here, it goes right underneath your your flooring material. And then if you do a floating floor, you can add a friction barrier on it, but it just goes right in between there. It's super thin, super lightweight. It doesn't really add much to anything. And yeah, and we understand that you guys are weight conscious, so that's what that's about. Our product itself is sold. We sell it as a kit, right? So it'll come with, you would submit a floor plan to us, and we would help you design a system of black gold panels that route around your built-ins, your furniture, all of that, right? And in that kit is also a thermostat. So a routing template and a loudmouth monitoring device in case the installation, you put a nail through it, anything like that. And so we really wanted to make it so that it's a kit for you guys. When you get it, it's super easy to install. You have everything that you need. The only things that you would need to provide for the install are like a router for creating up pockets. You can do it with a chisel, but a router is our recommended install. And then you would need some spray adhesive. And that's pretty much all that you need for the entire, and a Sharpie. That's really all you need for the install. And our products right now are currently in quite a few different tiny home manufacturers. They're using them, right? Such as Big Bliss. I mean, shout out to Tracy. Tiny Mountain Homes, Tiny Heirloom, Movable Roots. You can check out all of those and see our product in use. And on our website too, if you were to check it out, we have install videos, I believe, from almost all of those. So if you're curious about how the install goes and you want to see that in a video, our website has tons of info. But anyway, that's enough of the salesman-y things. I am an engineer after all. I want to talk about more of the product and proving some myths wrong. So our first myth, and the biggest one that we hear by far, is that, hey, I'm not going to be able to power electric radiant floor heat from the power available to a tiny home. And I'm happy to say that that's false. From what we see, most of the time we're seeing either a 50 amp shore power or a dual 50 amp shore power, right? And we think that that's enough. For an average area in a tiny home, let's say like a 200 square foot tiny home, you're really only heating, maybe 40% of that. You're only heating about 80 to 100 square feet. And because of that, your power draw is actually a lot lower than like a traditional home. So it's only about 1,500 watts, which the easiest comparison to that is about a hairdryer or a toaster. Both of those are just a hair above the 1,500 watt mark. So if you can run a toaster or a hairdryer in your tiny home, you can definitely run floor heat. And we think that's the best comparison. And a lot of people puts it in perspective for a lot of people. And the way that our product actually works with the thermostat is that it's on a duty cycle, right? So it's turning on and then it'll turn off and then turn on and then it'll turn off. And the way that works is that it's, trying to hit a set point of whatever you put on the thermostat. And so that leads to actually power saving, because you are, turning it on and then turning it off, and it's just doing that in the background without you even knowing it. So it actually is ending up saving you money, and it's actually less than that, what a hairdryer or a toaster would do over an entire day. The second biggest myth that we hear is that, hey, I want to put electric radiant floor heat in my tiny home, but I don't want to have to do the entire thing. 200 or 300 square feet, that's a ton. I really don't want to do that. Doesn't that make the install really, painful and laborious? And I'm, like I alluded to in the last myth, for an average tiny home, you're really only heating about 30 to 50% of the entire heated square, or the entire square footage of the tiny home. So it really brings it down a lot and makes the install really easy. You're only probably averaging about 100 heated square feet. And if you were to talk to us and we could help you walk through the install, you can probably have it installed and ready to floor on top of it in about 30 minutes. It's that easy. And because of that, it's saving you time and money, and because you don't have to buy a huge kit. It's just the heated area. You're not heating underneath the couch or your bed or underneath the bathroom unless you want to, but it really does make it easy. So those are the two myths that I really wanted to talk about. I see that there is a lot of questions that are coming in, and I want to get to those here. If you do have any questions or we miss anything, please email us. The email for that is questions@goldheat.com. And we can help you with basically anything that you need regarding Gold Heat products, or even just you want to ask some questions about heating in a tiny home. So from here, we'll start the Q&A session. So let me exit out of here. Whoa. All right. So my colleague Russ in the other room, who's answering the questions, he just gave me a question, and it said, someone asked, do you still need a mini split? And we recommend that it is supplemental with this. You don't need to use one that is sized to the room that you're doing per se. The Gold Heat itself could heat a tiny home in a temperate environment where you're not needing to, heat it a ton, or it's not like, 20 degrees outside. What really you're benefiting from the mini split is getting that AC benefit in the summer, but then also having movement air. And I understand in tiny homes that is a huge deal, for moisture management and even just moving air around so that it's comfortable everywhere. So I would say you would want one. We recommend it with installing it. All righty, let's see. I'm going to go through the comments here. So Miroslav, is it possible to kill the background audio? Oh, is there background audio? I did not know that. All right. Russ is giving me another question. So what happens if a panel stops working? So I'm part of the service team, right? I guess technically the head of the service team. What happens if a panel stops working? We have a comprehensive diagnostic method of helping you guys figure out what to do with the panel. We can tell you which panel it is, and then from there, you would need to remove the floor and then replace the panel if something were to puncture it. If it's as easy as, a connection comes loose or something, we can help you walk through that. But if it is something like a nail or screw, we would have to replace the panel.
How often do you see that happen?
We really don't see that happening that often. Once most of the time that we see, when we see some sort of malfunction in the panel, it is because someone is remodeling. They're ripping up the floor. They don't know that there's electric floor heat under it, and they accidentally drive a chisel through it or something. Once it's installed, and if it was working, we don't even see, maybe 1%. I would say it's less than 1%. So someone asked about the EMF that is caused by, so EMF is the electromagnetic flux caused from a electric radiant floor heat panel. And we have looked into this. We get a lot. People are concerned about pacemakers and all that. Our products, they do emit the almost negligible amount of EMF. It is on the microgauss or the nanogauss range. It is that small. It is nothing to. I would not even be worried about it at all. So someone asked, can you power from a DC battery system? And I was actually talking with Russ about this yesterday because someone had this question, and it can be powered off of it. It can be powered off of it. It comes down to you as a customer of what priority or what electrical load priority do you have, right? Where if you run the floor heat all day, it may drain your battery. It may drain it completely, and then it really depends from there on how much solar do you have, right? Because if you have enough solar to offset what you're taking from the floor, then it should be fine indefinitely. So it can be done. I would say contact us. You can contact us at design@goldheat for more technical questions like this, and we can definitely help you through that. Another question we have is, what is the lifespan of black gold? So we have products that we have installed in 2001 when the company was founded, and they are still working. So it is over 20 years, but unknown. So we're happy to say that our products do have a 20-year warranty on them. So if we have manufacturer defects or anything and it does go bad for a reason like that, we will replace it. So someone is asking, is it possible to install hardwood on top of this? And so our answer to that is we can install anything that is nailless. Obviously, it's a film, and if a nail goes through it, it'll probably be bad. And so if you do hardwood on top of it, I would recommend gluing it down, or if you can find a snap block engineered system that can just float right on top of it, that's what we recommend. We were at the International Builder Show in February, and the only wood that we were seeing some not issues, but they were reluctant to certify over electric radiant floor heat was mesquite. So I don't know why, but if you want mesquite, make sure that you get one that is rated for over electric radiant floor heat. Okay, I'm going to go through here and see any questions. If the panel is glued down, if it malfunctions, how do you replace it? So, for example, this over here, right, it's just a diagram to show how the panel of black gold itself is mounted to a subfloor, right? It is just sprayed. You spray adhesive on it, and honestly, you can just peel it off. It is fairly sticky, but you can peel it back, and it doesn't damage really your subfloor or the electric panel itself. If your question was about the LVP, so that type of panel, if that's glued down, you would want to scrape it up, and it may damage the product underneath. We could help you walk through that. So I got another question here that someone asked about, can you install carpet over this? So yes, we can install carpet over it. What our general rule is that if it has an R value of 1.5 or higher, don't install it over electric radiant floor heat. But if it's a real thin kind of low pile carpet, you have no issues installing it over our product. So I was wondering when this one would come. It's what is the price of black gold? So for 100 heated square feet, it is our standard price is right at about $1,200. And if you're a builder, contractor, that type of thing, reach out to us. We do have programs available. And I'm happy to say that for the listeners of my audience today, that if you were to mention Tiny when purchasing, the code is TINY, you would get 15% off any Black Gold order up until about a month now. So about May, we'll call it May 30th. Yep. Let's see. Okay, how many kilowatts would a product use up to fill a typical mobile tiny home, say 8 by 32? So that's like, we'll call that a 240 square foot tiny home. Our rule is that you're only going to heat 40% of that. So we'll say that that's 110 square feet, something like that. I can't do the math off the top of my head. 110 heated square feet. That's right at about 15, so 1.5, almost 1.5 kilowatts of power that is needed for that. To put that in perspective, I don't know if you heard earlier, that's about that's just under a hair dryer and quite a bit significantly lower than a toaster. So let's see. Someone asked about dog beds. So this is actually something that we've gotten a few questions about, where someone will say, hey, my dog, he doesn't want to sleep in his bed anymore. We really recommend that you move the bed off of the heated area, because that dog bed is so thick, it's just trapping the heat underneath. It doesn't harm the dog at all. More times than not, they're just uncomfortable, right? I know I'm uncomfortable in a hot room at night. So what we recommend is that they do make dog beds that are on standoffs, that are kind of like a sling. And everyone that we've recommended those to, their dog is perfectly fine with that type of dog bed over a heated floor. Let's see. Well, who else can we? Have you used any systems with the thermal storage to increase efficiency? You're talking about like a thermal mass, like putting, I don't know, a stone or something on top of it. A lot of our RV customers do use stone, and the stone, once it's heated up, or the stone and tile, once it's heated up, it does radiate heat for a long time. So it takes longer to heat up, but then it keeps the heat longer. Someone asked, does it help prevent rot? And that is actually a bonus benefit of Gold Heat, is that because the subfloor, the black gold itself is installed in the subfloor, it is actually heating that subfloor, and it is completely dry heat. So it is actually driving that moisture out of it. So that is a bonus benefit and is super applicable to tiny homes where moisture management is key. Someone asked, does it for someone with allergies, does it stir up the air? Luckily, electric radiant floor heat has no moving parts, so just by itself, it does not stir up the air, and it will heat your house. Who else has questions? We have some rolling in still. Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth. That's good to know. She was saying that she's considering Gold Heat. Alrighty. Well, if we missed your question, or you have any more that pop into your head, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can either, if it's a design question and more technical, shoot it over to design@goldheat.com. If you're curious about the product and getting some more literature, questions at Gold Heat. Either or, I'll make sure that anything gets answered. So, Actually, we'll do one more. Suzanne, you got it right before the cutoff. Would you ever want to split a circuit, heat different areas and different temps? So yes, our products are meant to be zonable. So that means that you can have different heat zones throughout the house, right? So the kitchen can be one temperature, the bathroom can be another. And what really defines that zone is that the National Electric Code, and I'm not exactly sure what code tiny home, what other codes tiny home has to abide by, but National Electric Code is one that most have to abide by, says that you need a dedicated 15 amp circuit breaker for electric radiant floor heat, right? That means that you can put as many panels up to that threshold and as many zones up to that threshold on that 15 amp breaker. But once you need more, you would have to install another 15 amp breaker. So yeah, you can split it out a bunch of different ways. If you're curious about that, make sure you reach out to us and we can definitely help you with that.
Last minute, how much insulation is needed under the unit?
One more question I guess that we had was how much insulation is needed under the unit. We don't we It's normally about how much you want to heat the house, right? And in general, where we normally recommend, if someone were to just ask us, hey, what should I put underneath it to help increase with thermal efficiency from, going out the bottom of a coach or even a tiny home or even a regular home, what we recommend is a product called Go Board. If you look that up, it is waterproof. It has a thermal barrier, and it is easily cut with a knife. You don't even need a saw or anything. And we recommend a 1/2 inch thick on that, and it will actually really help make sure that all of the power that is coming off of a black hole panel is really going up and not, going down through the wood floor. But that's all we have time for, folks. We'll make sure that we answer everyone else's question. But nice talking with you guys, and have a good weekend.